Welcome into the Fantasy Overtime. My name is Zach Lyons, and I am joined by Justin Graver. You can follow him at Titans Film Room. The Fantasy Overtime, the most accurate fantasy football live show that starts at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, starring a host from Tennessee and a host from California. Boom. The best, the most accurate. We win awards all the time. Look, got an award right here, got an award right there. And we're just winning them. We're just winning them left and right. We can't be stopped. We are giving out excellent fantasy advice. We got some excellent gambling advice. So just make sure you hit the 3 little buttons down at the bottom. Make sure that you share, because we need it, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or even if you're on Twitch. Doesn't matter. Share it. We want all the shares. So we were talking before we came on, Justin, about whether I should play Ben Roethlisberger or I should play Carson Wentz. Now, we decided that the slight edge would be with Carson Wentz. Let's talk about that. Down in Pittsburgh, whether you should be aware of 50-mile-per-hour winds, rain could lead into game time. But the Bengals are down 2 corners. And then over in Philadelphia, weather's just okay. I think it's a little drizzly, but that's about it. So why should I stick with Wentz?
Well, I do think that the Bengals have an exploitable pass defense, and Big Ben's had some good weeks, and he's had some down weeks this year too. But he hasn't practiced all week, and meanwhile, the Eagles are getting a lot of guys back healthy, coming off a bye. Alan Bell pointed out a great trend that you noticed and sent over to me over the last 3 weeks. Teams coming off a bye are 10-1-1 to the over in their game, meaning they're high-scoring games. So I think that you bank on the high-scoring game, try to buy into some of that with Carson Wentz, whereas the Steelers sometimes don't show up to play in these games against lower teams, and even if they do, like Big Ben not practicing all week is kind of scary. And I do think there's a chance Big Ben has both these guys are going to have good games, right? But the Giants defense, they've been playing a lot better lately, but I think in this important division game, Carson Wentz has to fucking step up or he's done, right? So I'm banking on that, I would say. But honestly, they're both probably good plays.
I think I'm leaning Carson Wentz just because we've seen him once already this year go up against the New York Giants, and he scored that week about 40-something points. So, I mean, should be a pretty good lineup. I mean, I don't understand why I shouldn't really worry about it. And
it just feels gross relying on Wentz at this point.
Right. And it's weird, but this is the reason that you carry someone like Wentz and pair it with a Ben Roethlisberger to have these matchups and stuff like that. When you go through and you look at the last few years of the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Bengals, I understand that last year in 2019 they didn't have Big Ben, but 16-10 was the second game, 27-3 was the first game, and then in 2018 it was 16-13 again. It's like this could be a 16-point to 10-point kind of game. You may get a touchdown, you may get some yardage from Big Ben, but they'll probably jump out ahead and maybe with the wins just milk the clock in the weather. So I think Wentz has the higher upside for sure. So make sure to get your fantasy / gambling questions in the chat. We've gotten pretty far into the episode, no questions yet, which is surprisingly enough. So we will skip ahead and we will head to some of our gambling picks. So Justin, I'm going to start with your pick of the week, which is Ravens -7 over the Patriots.
I don't understand why this line is only -7. Now, I know Baltimore's traveling to New England, so there's like the road spot. But road dogs this year are 50 and 35, so I'm not worried about the spot for Baltimore. Coming off a win last week where they had a little bit of flukiness go their way, they got a return touchdown on defense, and they had an interception that was potentially it was a horrible call. But you know what? The only reason this line is -7 instead of like double digits where it should be is because of the aura surrounding the Patriots and Bill Belichick's mystique, and that defense is going to shut down Lamar Jackson because Bill Belichick is a genius. And all that may be true, but he's not going to shut down Lamar Jackson. This is a huge mismatch in terms of strengths versus weaknesses. The Ravens are the #1 rushing team in the league. They have more rushing yards than anyone else. And last week, Lamar Jackson finally started getting involved in the run game more. New England has the 31st ranked defense DVOA. They can't stop the run. They're going to get shredded on the ground. Meanwhile, New England's entire offensive attack is predicated on the ground game. Baltimore has the #1 run defense DVOA. New England is not going to be able to move the ball, and they're not going to be able to stop the Baltimore. This game's going to be at least 20 points. I don't understand why the score is.
Whoa, you're saying it's going to be at least the Ravens are going to at least win by 20 points.
Harbaugh is dropping the hammer on Belichick while he can, because this is a year he knows Belichick is down, and he's going to take full advantage. I cannot wait to watch this game and just watch Baltimore. I mean, I'm going to be all in on all Baltimore players, and it's just going to be a bloodbath. When Joe Flacco's launching 50-yard touchdowns against your defense, it's time to just wrap up.
Whoa, but Joe Flacco's elite.
Okay.
I mean, 10-point yards per attempt. I mean, hard to beat that. And let's move to my pick of the week. I'm going Bengals at Steelers under 45.5. And now this is different than what I had earlier in the week, because I do have a parlay of all the teams coming off buys taking off the over. Because like you said, they've been 10-1-1 when on the overs when they come off bye. However, the Bengals and Steelers, like I said, horrible weather. The Bengals are without their top 2 corners. And then you got to remember, just because we didn't sack the Cincinnati Bengals, the Titans didn't, doesn't mean that the Steelers won't. And 7 and 8 sacks in 2 separate games versus the Eagles and versus the Ravens. There's no reason the Steelers won't harass Joe Burrow all day. And then on top of that, the weather. It's just bad. So you can't really rely on the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals are going to put up a lot of points. I think it's going to be a very bad day to start Joe Burrow. I know that they're going to be coming from behind, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns. It's just going to be kind of like garbage time yardage. And there's going to be quite a few interceptions. So I am taking the under on the Bengals and Steelers, and that's my pick of the week. Let's check the chat. Nothing in the chat. No questions. This is maybe a first. So let's go to your favorite bets. You got the Chargers money line, the Washington money line, and the Vegas Broncos over 50.5.
So these money line bets are, I mean, when I say favorite bets, they're like the fun ones because they give you plus odds. You're not laying juice to the house and make these bets. So that's why I like them. And I think that these are the 2 teams that are underdogs with the best chance to pull off the wins today. Chargers head down to Miami, where the Miami Dolphins are on a 4-game win streak, but it just doesn't feel sustainable. They've been scoring a lot of touchdowns on defense. They had a kickoff return touchdown 2 weeks ago against the Rams. Meanwhile, the Chargers have just been so good at everything until the last 5 minutes in the game when they completely collapsed. So as long as the Chargers just don't, if the Chargers can stop having these insane collider, like it feels like both sides are due. So this is kind of a gut play, and then with Washington, like I just don't understand how Detroit is favored over anyone. So I'm taking the underdog Washingtons here. Vegas Broncos, neither team can really play defense. The Vegas games are 7-1 to the over this year. So I think that trend continues in this one.
I like all those picks. The Chargers money line is a little tricky. It's a scary one. That's the scariest one you got. So moving to my favorite bets, I got the Bills money line, Eagles Giants over 44.5, and then the Panthers +6. And here's my thought process on these. The Bills are good, and I think that the Bills defense is better than the Cardinals defense. So I think that the Bills will end up winning. I think Stephon Diggs. I know that the Arizona Cardinals lost a defensive back last week, one of their starters. It was the other Peterson. So I think that with Stephon Diggs, John Brown, with the whole offense there, I think the Cardinals will have their hands full, while I feel like the Bills defense can slow down the Arizona Cardinals offense enough. And I think I'm not betting the points. I don't like the points on it. There's a lot of There's a lot of the
So,
spreads that I'm not a big fan of this week. This was a hard week for me to choose bets that I really, really believed in.
oh, okay, interesting. I had a lot of bets that I really liked this week.
Yeah.
I had to narrow down my best bets article to choose 5 because I had like 8 or 9 that I really liked.
I like the Eagles Giants over. Like we talked about, I don't think either defense is that great, and I think the Eagles will be able to score almost at will. And Alshon Jeffrey's back; they're getting healthier, and Miles Sanders is back. I think the Eagles are going to score a lot of points. And then I like the Panthers +6 as a sneaky pick, and here's why. I think the Panthers are really, really good, but they have these weird losses, these barely missed opportunities, and I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll keep it tight. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have shifted their offensive line because they have some people out. So, yeah, so all their whole offensive line is shifted around, and then on top of that, they didn't get in till like late last night or early this morning. I don't know when they got there exactly, but they had flight issues, so they're a little off schedule. We all know players have that routine that they like to stick to. So I like the Panthers at +6.
So my thoughts on all of these really quick. I'm on Arizona -3, so we're gonna go against each other for the first one. So I won't even talk about it. Eagles Giants over 44. I like it. I think this game is a absolute lock to go over 40, 44.5. It's actually moved up to 45 now. If you look at it now, is a little bit higher than I like it. I'm willing to bet on it, but I'm absolutely teasing this. This is in all my teasers because I think this game goes over 40, no question about it. So you tease it 6 points down. And then Panthers +6. It's just a tough spot for the Panthers. Now, the stuff you talked about and Tampa Bay's flight situation and offensive line, like, definitely helps Carolina's argument. But Tampa Bay coming off that huge loss, like, this just feels like a get right spot where they want to get back on track. So I'm just not betting on that game at all. But I like Panthers +6. I would probably tease that even more. So I may even throw both of those two in a teaser.
Okay, so let's talk about, we talked about it on the thing, Travis Kelce being the 4th leading receiver in the NFL, which is third, which is insane. But Davante Adams to lead the NFL in wide receivers in yards +750. Seems like a good bet.
Yeah, so it depends on where you can get it. +750 is on Bovada. I looked on William Hill, it's +600. I'm in Los Angeles, so I can't even look at the DraftKings and the FanDuel and the BetMGM lines. So you'll have to look those up yourself, find the odds. But it's crazy. So Davante Adams is 8th in receiving yards right now overall. He's only played 6 games because he got hurt and missed a few games. He's number 1 in yards per game, and it's not even close. He's 112.5 yards per game. Next closest guy is DK Metcalf at 98. If Adams continues on even close to this pace, he should overtake Stephon Diggs, who's the current leader, by the end of the year. Now, obviously, injuries play a factor. If he gets hurt again, this is going to be a complete loss. But for the value that you can get it at right now, if you can get it at +750, which I can on Bovada, I mean, I'm taking that all day.
Yeah, I love that pick. I'm going to find it today as soon as we get off, and I'm going to bet it because that's like, it seems like it should be free money. So
like
we
shall take 5 of those 8 spots today against Jacksonville, depending on how the weather is.
All right. I want to talk about the same game parlay with the Seattle Seahawks at Los Angeles Rams. Head to BetMGM, and they're doing same game parlays. You're going to have trouble on your phone. I know I have been, so I've been having to do the same game parlays and looking at all the stuff on the website on the desktop. But here's the thing about the same game parlay. This should be a high-scoring game. You should be able to easily take the over. You should be able to then go through and pick individual players that you feel are going to have good games, and you actually get to choose how many touchdowns. So like when you go to Russell Wilson, you could do 1+ passing touchdowns, 2+ passing touchdowns, 3+ passing touchdowns. Even doing 1+ passing touchdowns still improves your odds. It's insane. So go into betmgm.com, go to Seattle Seahawks at Los Angeles Rams, and do a same game parlay of whatever you're feeling. I am liking some Cooper Kupp. I like some Tyler Lockett touchdown. And I also like some Russell Wilson and Jared Goff passing touchdowns, but also passing yards for Jared Goff, as well as passing touchdowns for Jared Goff. So I like all of that right there.
What book are you using for this?
This is BetMGM.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the one. The lock of the day. If Ryan would have got here on time at 10:30, like we start every morning, he would have seen that we both have two different locks. So mine is Bengals at Steelers under 45.5, and Justin's is Ravens -7 over the Patriots.
Can I throw a fun bet out?
You can.
This is like a little side action bet, so I'm not saying to bet your house on this, but I kind of teased it. Ravens alternate spread. If you can find the Ravens like -13.5, you could probably get them like +230 or something in this matchup, and that is something I would absolutely take.
All right. Well, we are out of time. We have no questions. So we didn't answer one fantasy question. No sit starts, nothing. A lot of people must have their roster set up and everything. So for BroadwaySportsMedia.com, for Justin Graver, I'm Zach Lyons. Follow him at Titans Film Room. You can follow me at FWordsPod. This has been the Fantasy Overtime, and we